Artist Esther L. Jones, and this is time for what I call Pj-Talc, spelled with a C. It stands for Pajama Time Art Live Chat, and I hope you are tuning in to have a little chat about art and life and creativity and other subjects pertaining to that. So, welcome to the stream. I try to show up here about 8 p.m. Central Time most weeknights. So, this is the second night for this week. And this week we are talking about making time for your creativity and how to do that. Some steps and tricks that you can use to try to make some time to build up your creativity. I'm drinking from my beautiful teacup, and I am drinking, I'm still reusing that pour tea ball with the very, very last of the milk oolong in it. And I just love the way this stuff smells and tastes. And so cheers, let's get started. So, if you are here and you are watching, please drop your name into the chat. Tell me something that made you smile today. So, things that made me smile today were taking time to actually do my art. I went in there and just worked on a project off and on all day. Actually, it was an oil and cold wax project, so I was able to work on it for a long time. I don't know if it's finished. Hey, Kelly, welcome to Pj-Talc. Tell me something that made you smile today. And so I worked on it and worked on it. It's not finished. I can tell you it's not finished. But I finally just said, okay, I'm going to stop for today. Some of you may have the odd and misconception that artists just walk into their studios and they just begin and everything turns out beautiful. And that is such a myth, because we make bad art after bad art after bad art, and then all of a sudden we make one good. Yay, we got one good. Guess what? The next one we make, it won't necessarily be good. We make more bad art. The more bad art you make, the more likely you are to make good art. So that is the key. And that's why we're talking tonight about making time for your art, because if you don't make time to make bad art, you're never going to make any good art. Kelly says that she smiled because her dogs greeted her after a long day at work. I love greeting my dogs too, Kelly. I have 3, and someday I need to introduce them, but they are wild and crazy, and getting them in front of a camera is a whole nother set of problems. So they're usually in bed by this time of night, and that gives me the freedom to just sit here and talk. So yes, dogs are important to my life too. So what else made me smile? My dogs made me smile. They always do. Watching my dad, who just turned 92, work on my car today. That made me smile. That's love. When you're 92, your hands hurt, and your daughter's car isn't working, and so you go and you dig around in that engine and try to get things fixed. That's a definition of true love. So that made me smile as well. Also, practicing the piano today. There are just some days whenever you get down there, and just like with art and life everywhere, you finally feel like you're getting the hang of it for a little bit, and it feels like it just flows. And my practice today was like that. So those are things that made me smile. Be sure that you put into the chat what made you smile today. All right, so what we've been talking about, and I need to push this back just a hair, so hang on, I'm taking you for a ride. There we go. We're talking about making time for art. Last night, we discussed the fact that we need to look and see what it is that we are making time for. It gives us an incredible insight into our own priorities, priorities that we might not even have considered. We might not realize that we're making that thing a priority until we start mapping out how much time we're giving to it. What kind of priority time are we giving to scrolling Facebook? What kind of priority time are we giving to watching TV? Those kinds of things can really reveal issues that we need to consider when we're thinking about adding something, whether it's art, creativity, or some other habit that would help us out. Even rest for our minds is important. And I think sometimes we spend so much time on social media. And yes, every time we do, we're getting that dopamine hit. But I think that our minds would do better off to have a little break from the dopamine sometimes, and have time to process things at a slower speed, at a less heightened, what's the word I'm looking for? Tempo, a less fast-paced speed. So sometimes maybe instead of looking for time where you can add something else to do, perhaps you need to make time for your brain to slow down and rest. It was interesting because I had a friend today who posted on Instagram a saying, and let me pull that up real quick so I can get it right. Her saying was, okay. I'm sorry, this was not the direction I was planning to take, so I apologize for not being completely ready. Here we go. All right, she posted this quote: "It takes a lot of energy to be creative. Don't waste energy on other stuff." And I would say that is so appropriate for what we're talking about this week. And I commented on her quote that I would argue just a little bit. I want to quibble just a little bit, because creativity doesn't ever dry up. It's there. The fact that you haven't tapped into it, it is similar to the analogy of like a well, okay? The water is under there. It's in the water table. It's in there. What you have to do is give it the way to get up on top of your life, on top of the soil. So that's either going to take digging a hole down to it where you can get physically down there and fill up a bucket and drag it up, or putting a pump down there that can put energy into it and pump it up. And if you're tired, if And there are lots of ways to be tired. It doesn't just have to be physically or mentally tired, okay? Yes, drill deeper, Kelly. So, but that takes energy. So if you are out of energy and you are not giving yourself time to rest, then your creativity may have seemed to have dried up, but it hasn't. It's there. You have to do the things necessary to make the pump work again. The pump is broken. You have to take it apart. You're going to have to repair it. You're going to have to make sure it gets plugged in. Whatever kind of pump you have to take the initiative to take care of it so that your creativity can bubble back up. So I want to encourage you, first of all, to look for that creative depth inside you and find the time to do what you need to. Do you need to rest? Do you need to rest your mind, your emotions, your physical body? Do you need to carve out more time for rest? Sometimes we even need to carve out time to be bored. Think about that for a minute. If you drill the well and you turn it on and it's working, but you keep stuffing stuff into the end of the hose, the water can't come out. It's just going to break your pump again. And then we've got that problem all over again. You might need to be bored. You might need to relax and let the creativity bubble up. So, going on what we talked about last night, we talked about the fact that you need to go and look at what you're making priority, what you're giving priority in your life, and see if there's anything that isn't really that important that you don't need to be giving priority to. Then you need to check, do you need to give yourself time for rest? The creativity's there. You need to give yourself time for it to come up. Maybe all those other things are fine. Maybe you have enough rest and you can even sense that there's some creativity in there. You have a desire to do something, to paint, to craft, to something. You love going to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or some other hobby store. You love art supplies. Maybe, okay, this is gonna out some of you. You have supplies stuck back in a dark corner of a closet somewhere that you bought and you never used. That says that creativity is there. It's there. So now, what's the next step? And tomorrow night, we'll talk some more about what the next step is. And it has to do with a question we asked ourselves last week concerning another topic, and that is, what have you tried? All right, so Kelly, thanks so much for coming in today and talking. Anybody else have any questions or comments? I'll give you just a second to drop that in the chat, and then it will be time to say goodnight. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have anything to add to what I talked about tonight? All right. So I will have more time to work on my art tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to that. I am kind of in a holding pattern. I've thrown a lot of bread on the water as far as, job searching and marketing my business, marketing my art. So I'm kind of in that waiting stage where you stand on the beach and wait for the bread to come back to you. So good night, Kelly. Thanks for showing up. And we will talk to you guys tomorrow night asking the question, what have you tried? This is artist Esther L. Jones saying good night, and make sure you're looking for the music, listening for the colors, and awakening wonder in yourself and your creativity. Good night.